Okay, on to the next tab, which is in this case pricing. Pricing is essentially where you would keyed in the price for this part, how much you want to charge for this part. In this case, it's $4.50 each. You can also have the option of doing per thousand or lot. Okay, lot or per thousand each, or pounds if you specify by pounds or by kilograms. Then the system will charge by weight. Will charge it by by the weight in rather than by the quantity. So the difference there is that if you do each, it's going to be piece count, 10 pieces. If you do it by weight, like pounds and kilogram, then it's going to charge by the pounds, by the kilogram, the weight of the part, not number of pieces. Like you could have a ton or 10,000 pounds, but it could be millions of screws or millions of little metal pieces or rings, whatever. So it goes by the pound. So you can charge them either by the weight or by the piece, or sometimes by lot. Lot means no matter how many pieces in there, there's one price, $75 for the whole lot, or $150 for the whole lot, whether it's one piece or 50 pieces, same price, lot. Okay, so now lot or piece. I'm going to leave it at piece. So that's the difference between each, pound, and lot. Lot is like if you charge by lot, it's one price. It doesn't multiply it out. It doesn't matter. No matter how many pieces you put in, it's going to charge one price. And whatever price you put there, like 150, that's what the price is going to be on the invoice for that amount. Okay, so you understand the lot. Minimum lot works the same way. If I put in, let's say, $150, what's going to happen is that when you receive in the order for this part, if it falls below $150, let's say they send in only like 10 pieces, that's only $45, right? The system, when it sees this minimum lot amount, it will say, I can't charge you 45. It's too little, because if you charge it, you lose money. All the time it's set up the machine, all the chemical you have to get ready for this. 45 is not enough, so it's gonna kick in $150 minimum lot charge. That's what it is. I'll illustrate that when we get into the shipping and invoicing job order, to show you that in two different scenarios, when you do a small lot versus a bigger lot, and see how the price is going to come into place. And I think that will be very helpful for you guys. Weight per piece. Is that how many? What's the weight per piece? Is it half a pound a piece, or is it how many pounds per piece? Okay, and it could be fractional. It could be like very small piece. Charge amount. If you want, in addition to the per piece, let's say you're charging $4.50 each, but in addition to that, you can always charge a setup time. I mean, a setup charge or a surcharge, or environmental fee, some kind of fee that you want to charge. You can put in here, $75 consulting fee, and you're going to charge per piece. But in addition to that, you're going to charge this amount for the job order. Yeah, but you quote them ahead of time. We're still in the quoting process. But once you quote it all out, by the time you get to job order, it's going to use this. It's going to use this information for order processing. So that's why we're going through all this. So there's a lot of work initially in the quote module, but the best thing about this is that it will be shared. It will be passed on, propagated further down the line into the job order, into the shipping. So as you go further, the less work you do. This is the most upfront work that you do when you set up the part specification. But once it's done, the rest of the module tend to be very quick and easy, because you don't need to fill them in anymore. All of this is already pre-established. Valid from is the date from. When is this quote valid for? When the price is valid for. Sometimes it's good for 1 year. You can establish a policy of, okay, this price is at $4.50, good between now and next year, or a month, 30 days, 60 to 90 days. So you can establish that. FOB, what it means is that freight on board. Where do you ship it from? You can say, okay, if you have multiple production facility, Worcester, Framingham, Boston, or Tennessee, freight on board is where it's going to be shipped. Freight on board, when it's going to be shipped from, what the source of the shipping. You can say, okay, this part can be processed in Worcester, or this part can be processed in Framingham, or this part can be processed in Tennessee, or Mexico, or wherever it may be. Okay, freight on board. Ship via. This ship via came from by default that customer, our truck, by default. But you can change it for this part. Normally, the customer say use our truck, but for this particular part, they may say, oh, this part is very expensive, very sensitive, very whatever. You need to use a FedEx. Use FedEx for this particular time, so you can change that. Last order, you cannot change that. That's where you the system, when you receive in the order, it will update that field for you and say, okay, we quoted them today, but next month, let's say in September, you get in the part, it will say September last is the last order. Or if you quote this back in 2009 and you got it in the order yesterday, that will show yesterday's date here. Okay. Turnaround days, like an estimate of how many days it takes to get this part finished and turn around to the people, to the customer. Maybe 3 days. Put in 3 days. Okay. Quantity breakdown. This is where you can give them discount. Depends on the quantity. Say from 0 to 1,000, you charge them at $4.50. But if they give you a bigger order between, let's say, 1,000 one pieces and 10,000, then you give them a little break, maybe $4. Okay. And if they give you more work, like 10,000 one pieces to 100,000, then you can give them even more break, maybe $3.50. If they give you more, then of course it breaks down accordingly. So this is called a quantity discount lot price structure, a matrix of the quantity range with the corresponding price. So when you do the job order entry, depends on what you put in. If you put in 10,000 pieces, it knows to say, oh, you're going to charge them automatically $4, rather than charging them at $4.50. If they send in, let's say, for that order of 10,000, let's say 50,000, it's going to take the price of $3.50 and use it. Now, a thing that I want to point out here while we're in the screen is that if they put in a quantity that's less than the minimum, then it's going to use the minimum. If it's going to go above this, it's going to use the maximum, the lowest price here, provided that the unit here, the unit has to match exactly. In other words, each got to be each. If it's different unit, it doesn't apply. If the unit is different, it doesn't apply to this. So keep in mind the unit has to match exactly the way the job order. If you quote them each, but they receive in pounds, doesn't apply. It doesn't know what to do with it. It has to match exactly the unit. Okay. And the last important piece about in this pricing structure is the ability for you to add, in addition to the charges up here, the charge up here, you can add as many charges. In recent time, companies starting to impose like environmental charge, because there's each state, the state and the federal government tend to environmental charge. Okay, and it could be a percentage. Let's say 3 each, or is it percent? I don't know. 3% as a unit each. Percentage. Oh, percent. Sorry, it's 3. Oh, you can do a fixed amount or by percent. So in this case, I'm going to do it just by percent. Okay, and you can select whether percent of what. Percent of the total amount, invoice total, or the extended amount. Meaning, for each line item, do you charge them on each line item, or do you charge them on a total? So there's a lot to it, right? There's a lot to this, but again, I'm explaining to you so that you're aware of what each one does. Invoice total mean, okay, you're going to charge 3% on top of all the line items, right? Or are you charging only a particular line item without any other stuff like taxes, like shipping, like other charges? So you have that option. The customer has that option of charging, and whether line item or invoice total. In this case, I'm going to say extended amount, which is individual line item. Charge with each shipment, meaning each time I ship this, do I charge it, or do I only charge once? So if I don't check this, that means it's only going to charge one time. But if you check this, it means that each time you ship it out, you're going to charge it. Like an applicable will be like a shipping charge. Let me say I put shipping charge. Okay, and each time you're going to ship, it's going to cost you $50 each. Okay, and it's not a percent. It's just that each time you drive you drive out and drop the part off, charge them $50 because your gas, your time, whatever it is, right? So you can add shipping charge, and I check this and uncheck that, and that's each time you ship out this part, you're going to charge them $50. It's automatically added to the charge. Whereas this guy here, environmental charge, it's going to charge only one time, but by percentage rather than by amount. So depending on, let's say if they ship in 10,000 pieces, and you work out the math at $3.50, then it's going to calculate that and add 3% on top of that amount. So we're going to save this for now, and then we'll see how it works out at the end. Okay. So environmental charge and shipping charge. These are two charges we can add to this part. Keep in mind, you can have as many charges as you need to. Consulting fee, tooling charge. Sometimes you have to buy tools to do this part, right? So you have to charge them one time, and tools can be expensive. Sometimes in the thousands, sometimes in hundreds of thousands to buy the tools. Tool, just if it's specialty, if it's special part and it's very unique, you have to get it somewhere. It can cost a lot of money, and you put it in there, you charge them, and that's the option for them to use. Okay. So that concludes the pricing info screen.